Hey guys, Ben here and welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be talking about the major breaking news, all to do with DC because they just dropped a huge dump of information. So if you do go on to enjoy the video, please be sure to leave a like and a comment and subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss any future videos later this year. So we've got loads of videos in the pipeline that are being recorded and made right now. We're going to have videos up every single day at, let's say, 10 PM UK time, so translate that to wherever you guys are. Come back every day for the next week or so and there's going to be uploads because we have so much to break down that DC has announced. There is new TV shows that have been announced, there is new logos that have been released, there's updates to do with Supergirl, there's a new Starfire TV show, there's a new Green Lantern show that I wasn't expecting. I mean, we got so much to talk about, so stay tuned for all of that. I didn't want to do like one big video because it would literally be like an hour-long video, so I thought I would split up into separate videos so you can come back each day and have new content to watch. But it makes sense to start with the big news, and this is DC's plan going forward. How many films, how many TV shows, how many animated projects are going to be released each year, because James Gunn and Peter Safran have given us the blueprint of how the DCU is going to go going forward. So we're going to be breaking down information from the Deadline article and also the Hollywood Reporter article, so links will be in the description below to those articles if you want to go read it. Obviously they cover everything that we're going to be talking about in the next week or so, but first things first, let's talk about the plan moving forward. So James Gunn and Peter Safran have confirmed there is going to be 2 live action films every year. Now, that is kind of to be expected, right? For any universe, you feel like 2 has got to be like the minimum, right? Sometimes you'll have 3, and I think Marvel has had 4 before. Even DC had quite a lot with like The Flash, Blue Beetle, Aquaman. Like there was a lot that year, but that also felt like a bit too much. I feel like 2 live action films is good. And they have also said that there's going to be 1 animated DC film per year, and they didn't specifically say releasing on Max or something, so I'm guessing that animated film is going to be in the cinema. Now, I don't know what that first big DC film in animation is going to be, but obviously there's a lot of projects in the works right now, and yes, a lot of the animated stuff is TV shows, and we'll get to that when we get to it, but there is so much potential for so many projects. And so they've also said there's going to be 2 live action series, so TV shows every year. So that doesn't mean brand new shows, that can mean returning shows for like a season 2, like say Peacemaker's coming out this August. That was another piece of information that was confirmed. So that would be part of the 2 series that are released, say, in this year. Also, I should mention that obviously 2025 doesn't really count towards this. This is like their first year, so Superman's going to be the only film coming out this year. But then like next year in 2026, I think that's when the DCU really kicks off in this kind of format that we're talking about today. So 2 live action shows, yeah, I think that's good. Like, you gotta have some new shows, whether it's Lanterns coming out next year, along with another live action show. That would be great. I would love to have 2 shows per year, plus animated shows, which they have confirmed they're going to be trying to do 2 animated shows per year for Max. So those animated shows will be on Max. They didn't specify if the live action shows would be on Max, but you would presume they're probably going to be there if you look at the Penguin and Creature Commandos, because they were on Max. So before we get into any of the quotes that I've got, and there's some big quotes, also James Gunn confirms something absolutely huge in regards to what everything is going to head towards basically. So let's just quickly recap. So we got 2 live action films, we got 2 live action TV shows per year, and then in the animated side of DC we've got 1 film per year as well as 2 animated shows. So yeah, I think they're going to really fill up the schedule. We know that they are working on so many projects. That's why we had so much that was announced during this announcement. And I have to say this announcement kind of came out of the blue for me. I know they were holding a press conference and that's where these quotes are all coming from and all this new information. But yeah, I'm just happy to see that we're getting movement and new announcements of new shows. Like there is new animated shows that have been announced. There is 3 of them. We're going to talk about those in some upcoming videos. But the show that I'm most excited for is Starfire, because I'm a Starfire fan. I like her in Teen Titans. I think she's a really interesting character with a good backstory, and she has really good connections to other characters in DC, so I'm looking forward to that animated show. So I think for now I'm happy with what I'm seeing. I don't want too much. I feel like this is kind of more than enough. At one point they could even cut back on this, but to kick the DCU off, you need a lot of content. You need content to be like, okay guys, like we've got this new TV show, please watch it. If you don't watch that, we've got a film. If you don't like that and you're an animation fan, come watch this animated show or go watch this animated film in the cinema. Like, you've got a bit of everything for everyone, because not all of us just like to watch live action films or animated shows. It gives us a bit of an option because there's a nice range there, and I think that's something that James Gunn has definitely done on purpose. And yes, the projects are all going to be linked together, but they are going to be quite individual. They're not going to be as like interlinked as like most Marvel or MCU films are, because normally you have to have watched this film or this TV show in order to kind of understand what's going on in the new project that has just been released. And I don't think that's what they're trying to do. So 2 years after becoming the co-heads of DC Studios, both James Gunn and Peter Safran have basically updated us in terms of what their vision is looking like right now for DC, and I think things are looking up. So according to Deadline, mostly everything they announced back in January 2023 is still intact in some form or fashion, and we've provided an update on the projects. So the duo's plan moving forward is to release all the projects that we've just talked about, so you know, the different films and different TV shows and animated projects. And he continued by saying, we've unified the brand, greenlit 5 theatrical films, made 3 live action series, and are producing 5 animated series right now. We've also acquired and distributed a BAFTA and PGA winning documentary that was Super/Man, the Christopher Reeve story. So that actually did pretty well, but that was kind of made before they kind of took over, but you know, they did a good thing, and it's won some pretty massive awards, so that's pretty reputable for DC Studios. Now let's talk about what I teased earlier. So DC Studios, according to James Gunn and according to these articles that have been put out, has a 6-year plan that will culminate in an Avengers Endgame-style event. And this is the quote from Gunn: "I know what my basic plan is over the next 6 years," hinting that ultimately there's some form of Avengers-like feature film in store, though he provided no details. So just even hinting at something like that is great. Like, I love to hear this, because we've been speculating, will they do Justice League? Like, what is their big team-up film going to be? Because ultimately they are going to do that. Like, they have to do that at some point. And by having all these projects and there being so many that are going to be released year by year, you can basically put little hints and teasers, just like the MCU did as they led towards Thanos, Infinity War, and then eventually Endgame. And I think for DC, you've got to do Darkseid at one point, but also there's a lot of big stories. They could do Crisis on Infinite Earths and introduce the Anti-Monitor, but also there's other big bads out there that definitely could take the limelight and be like the looming big bad in the background throughout the entirety of like this first phase of the DCU. So let me know, who do you think could be the main villain for that kind of Avengers Endgame style event that could potentially come in about 6 years time? Now, I've got another quote. They say, "We've laid out internally a plan, but we're happy to pivot as we discover things in the making of Superman or Supergirl or scripts being written. There's a flexibility built into it, even though we know where the larger story is headed." So that's him confirming, yeah, they've thought about this, they've got something mapped out. And yes, there's going to be some changes in which films are coming out, which TV shows get greenlit first. Like, we know there's a few films and TV shows on the back burner right now, like The Authority, for instance. We're going to talk about that in a separate video, so turn on notifications to not miss that. But I like their openness to pivoting and introducing different superheroes and villains at different times where they're not expecting it. Like, apparently Clayface wasn't something that they were actually planning on doing this early, and they just heard a great pitch from Mike Flanagan with a great screenplay, and they were like, yeah, we got to do this. And so that's a great example of what James is talking about here. So whether something comes up with Superman or Supergirl or any of the other projects being developed, there is definitely the flexibility that some other projects could come in the meantime whilst we're heading towards that 6-year big event that is going to eventually happen. So that pretty much does it for this video, guys. If you guys are hyped for the future of the DCU, I know I am. This is probably the most hyped that I've been so far because there is just so much to talk about, and I hope you guys are going to stick around on my channel and not miss any future videos because, like I said, come back 10 PM every day for the next week or so, and we're going to have new content out for you guys. Tomorrow's video is going to be talking about a new TV show that was announced in the DCU, and we got a little sneak peek into what it's going to look like. So thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please be sure to leave a like and a comment. It would really help this video get out there. Also subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss any future videos. But for now, you can click on the top right corner of the screen to watch my latest video, and I'll catch you guys later. Goodbye.